Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome to New Life Live, and as you heard, it's me, Chris Williams, and I'm in studio with Dr. Alice Benton.
Hi, Chris.
How's it going, Alice?
Pretty good today.
Good. I like it. I like it. And Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, J-Mac?
Not much. Glad to be here.
It's good to see you. It's good to hang out.
I love when you call it J-Mac.
I do too.
All right. So as we get started, as we open up today, Alice, I want to hear what's on your mind, what's going on.
All right. I have been working through shame and guilt ideas, both personally, but also with the folks that I work with. And there's an importance to differentiate the two, because shame tends to be when we believe there's something inherently wrong with us, and it usually drags us down. It leads us to isolation and escapism, medicating that awful feeling when we feel ashamed. And then there's guilt, which can be God-given. It's a sense that we've done something wrong, not always accurate, but important to check if it's accurate. And the Bible addresses this by calling one worldly sorrow, which I would say is more the shame version, and godly sorrow, which can be that healthy guilt. So I
like that distinction. Yeah.
I made a moderate mistake unintentionally recently that hurt a friend of mine and might even cost that friend some money, time, and energy. My friend pointed out, because I've got a history of lying, I'm a liar in recovery, that it broke our trust. Oh, it just stabbed me to hear that, although it was accurate, because I'm working so hard on not being that older version of myself that I have been before.
Yeah.
But it can still be a temptation. So I had to work through, what do I do with the shame of, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I avoid this problem? And the guilt of, I've truly hurt my friend, broken our trust. Now what do I do? So there are a couple of steps that God gives us and psychology supports. We usually need some comfort first to be able to accept that ugly truth.
Yeah.
So I had to talk to a trustworthy friend to work through it together. If we can, we identify the truth about it. We get humble to go back to confess, and we figure out how to make amends. I didn't know how to make amends in this situation, but when I asked God and my trustworthy people around me, they showed me a path of a way that I can start to rebuild trust, but it may take a while. But the distress I felt sitting in the how stupid am I? Why couldn't I have foreseen this and done something differently? Caused me emotional, spiritual, physical distress.
Yes.
So to all of our listeners, I feel such compassion for you, because all of us deal with this on different levels, but we don't want to let the enemy triumph by keeping us drowning in the shame, but rather by getting comfort and counsel, we can take action to repair. And the repair often leaves the relationship better than before we made the mistake.
Yes.
If we can handle it in the right way.
Alice, that's so good, because, I'm just reminded of my own life, like shame, well, for me, for some people, it leads them to act out. Other people, it causes them to act in. Mine is more of an acting in where I shut down, and there is no solution.
Right.
There is no way forward in the shame. But a good guilt conscience, coupled with other people and support, leads to a way of solution. It's so good.
I really appreciate that it's about rebuilding the trust and that you're in a growth process. And so just your vulnerability to share that, I think, is so helpful for listeners, because you're going through stuff that we all go through. And how do we repair our friendships? By showing up.
Absolutely.
And taking accountability.
It just reminds me of the key aspects of recovery itself. Recovery shows that we make mistakes. We can own it, and then we can repair it. And so for all of us, being able to differentiate, to distinguish between shame and guilt is such an invaluable tool for our own health and for relationships. Which reminds me, we have Life Recovery Online Conference, October 5th. This is a great conference. This is a great way to help you live in healthy relationship and in healthy personal growth. So check that out, and we'll be back right after this.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Intensive is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
There were strip clubs.
My husband is a recovering sex addict.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 12th through the 14th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. My friend was an English teacher at a Christian high school. One day, while talking to her students about what they want to do in life, she asked what considerations might motivate their career selection. Money was the top answer, followed by talent, ability, and a general liking for the type of work. Are you saying, she asked her class, that none of you have considered your future occupation in light of what God would have you do? Sadly, many people think that unless they've received a calling to become a minister or missionary, God can pretty much stay out of the career picture. But God calls dentists, sales clerks, insurance salesmen, truck drivers, moms, and corporate executives. Whatever your occupation might be, see it as a calling from God and recognize that our main calling in life is to be Christ-like, no matter what we do. Do you need some guidance for yourself, or would you like someone you know to better understand their calling? If so, visit newlife.com. I'm Steve Arterburn. Thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
What an incredibly important reminder that, my first career was in ministry as a pastor. And I remember sort of the crisis that I was experiencing inside of me to move out of that and then ultimately discover this. And I could say that my journey to become a therapist, counselor, coach, consultant in this particular way is much more in line with God's calling in my life than my first career. So that was such an important reminder that all of us, wherever we are, however we are living out God's will in some pretty significant ways.
I did not know that about you. You worked as a pastor?
Oh, yeah. That was my first career.
For how long?
That was about 5 years. Huh. Yeah.
I was an ice cream scooper.
That was awesome.
I worked the drive-thru at Jack in the Box.
There you go. I love it. Well, I did some other things as well. Yeah. My very first job was a busser at a restaurant. So, well, listen, wherever you are, however, we would love to talk to you today. If you're struggling with relationship issues, addictions, family stuff, health stuff, whatever it is, let us know. We would love to work with you and see what common solution that we could come up with to make progress. And we're going to do that right now with Miriam listening in Dallas, Texas online. Miriam, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hi. Good to talk to you today.
Good to talk. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem at all. Tell us what's going on and how we can help you.
Well, about 15 months ago, we bought a piece of property, and it was the idea of my oldest daughter and her husband that we would, there are 3 residences on the property, that the younger daughter would live in one, she and her husband would live in another, and then we would live in the third. And the idea was, as we age, because we are 72 and 80 years old now, that maybe it might prevent us from having to go to facilities someday.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to give you every little nitty detail, but she has already gone through 2 husbands. She's a wonderful person, and she is.
And this is your daughter?
This is the older one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she's made 2 lousy choices on her first 2 husbands. I mean, we're talking about physical abuse and such. Now, in the last couple weeks, there's a man's truck at her house 24/7, and she does pay us a small rent, and we just don't know. We're concerned about her getting involved in another relationship so soon, but also we just don't know to which degree, because she's 42. What are the boundaries there? Because we have met the man shortly, but do we have a right to say, this person cannot live with you, but she's paying rent? So,
and Miriam,
I'm not sure what the boundaries.
Miriam, is she a believer?
Oh, she is, but she cannot stand to be by herself, and she just doesn't get involved with Christian men.
And you own the property; she's just renting it from you.
Right.
And if you were to just bring up the topic of your concern, I'm wondering what's happening in relationship with this fellow. Do you think she'd be open to discuss it? Would she be defensive, argumentative?
That's kind of iffy. On one hand, I could hear her saying, "Mom, Dad, this living situation isn't working, and I'm going to find another risk." But that would still the whole purpose of this moving here,
Yeah.
So you're frightened that you're frightened you might lose the stability of that longer term care you all agreed to if you address this situation about her boyfriend.
If I'm honest, yes, but also concerned. Here we go again on another relationship.
Yeah.
And
so the question for us is like, what do you do about the relationship and about her living there?
Yeah, I mean, I know we don't have a say in what relationship. I get that, even though we might not approve. I don't know, but the fact is, he's living in this house. I mean, I could get to her house right now in less than 1 minute.
Okay.
In fact, when we sit on our porch, we can hear them talking on their patio.
Yeah. So, I think we got the picture that it's all those properties are right there, and it's a messy situation. So, Jacqui, what do you think?
So, your question is, do I have a right to set a boundary with my 42-year-old daughter whose boyfriend is sleeping over because the house is on property I own? She pays rent. And so it's her place. It's not as though she's living under your roof, but she's living on your property. I think it's important to have a conversation because you're feeling what you're feeling. And this is more than, it sounds like it's more than about your values of whether or not he should be staying overnight. It's also about, is she jumping into another bad relationship? And his staying over makes that seem like it's maybe too serious too soon. And so I would just be curious with her and be open to what she shares. Because of the proximity, there is a possibility that you guys may be gaining more information than you ever would if she lived anywhere else. And so I would just take that into consideration. If she didn't live on your property at 42, you'd never know somebody was spending the night at her house. But it's bothering you because of your values. And so I think that it's okay to have a conversation about your values and that it bothers you and that you're concerned because of the history and that you're just curious how things are going and, how they met and how is he treating her and how does she feel about him staying over? Is she wanting him to move in? I would meet this with curiosity instead of condemnation.
Oh, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Miriam, was there ever an imperfection in your history in how you handled romantic relationship? I'll say first, there has been many mistakes in my history with romantic relationships. How about for you?
Nothing on an immoral level.
Okay. Wow, you're one of the few that has been able to stay pure in that.
Oh, yeah.
My hat's off to you about it.
I'm very conservative. I've never had a drink of alcohol in my life. I just, I'm not perfect, but I'm conservative.
Mm-hmm. I do think, Miriam, that you have a right to point out what you dislike about what's taking place because it is your property. But I agree with you that there's a high risk. Your daughter will not like that. And there's always a risk when we're truthful and when we lay either a boundary or make a request of, I'd prefer he not sleep over until you're married if you're going to go that route in this relationship. But because she's an adult daughter and because you may very well risk the state of the relationship, I'd have you prayerfully consider if God is nudging you to say something about what her beliefs are versus how she's living. And if you can, you or your husband can bring any humility about your own imperfections into that conversation if you decide to have it. That always helps to not come from a place of superiority, even though you were superior in this area. You stayed pure. But rather that, hey, we're all imperfect. It might not even be any of my business, but it's on my heart. And I think God is asking me to address how you feeling about both your beliefs and how life is going and relationship is going right now. Could we talk about this? But expect if you bring that up, that probably will stir up some upset on her part. So figure out if God wants you to.
That brings to mind for me, I'm studying Romans right now, in Romans chapter 1 and into the beginning of chapter 2. It's kind of dealing with this idea that there's some who are, making some sexually immoral choices. And we sometimes can get caught in judging that, forgetting that however we judge, we will be judged. And while we might not be judged for anything that's immoral or sexually immoral, our righteousness, our self-righteousness may be the problem. And so I would go and as you are prayerfully considering if God is calling you to this conversation, I would go take a look at maybe the first couple of chapters of Romans and sit with that idea of where you fall, because you've raised her. And while you, like you said, you weren't perfect, you didn't make the same kind of choices, but she's experienced something in the life being raised by you. And so being able to reflect on that and maybe even bring that to the conversation could be helpful in bridging that mother-daughter gulf that you might be experiencing.
So, Mary,
go ahead,
Mary.
I was just going to say,
yeah, go for it.
As you're talking, the thought came to me, and this might be from the Lord, just to simply inquire, is this man living with you? Is he your roommate now? And just let her kind of take over from there.
Yes. Yep. So Miriam, I'm going to take a little bit different perspective on this because I do think, first I want to affirm, I want you to take to heart what Alice and Jacqui are saying, because the mother-daughter relationship is the most important one here, is the most important factor here. Okay. But what you guys have done is you've mixed roles, and you've introduced a lot of big items. I'm going to start here. It's going to be a little bit divergent, but my wife and I really considered homeschooling. And in the end, we ended up not homeschooling. We did some research and did all of that. And one of the reasons why is neither one of us has a master's in education. And we just didn't feel like we were the best fit to do that job. You were asked, right? Okay. We felt, man, there are other people who are much well trained, and our children would be much better served, and probably the relationship would be much better served if we weren't the responsible for that area or the solely responsible for that area of their lives. Now, with that said, when you start recognizing what a caretaker job is, you start realizing that, whoa, this is a professional job. And I never heard once that, it's my daughter in her choices, in her situation, the right person to care for me and my husband. Because in what you're telling me, I'm like, no. If she is in chaotic relationship and abusive relationship, that's going to eat up all of her energy, and that's going to affect her choices. Additionally, as I have a tenant on my property, are they a tenant or are they my daughter? So there are 3 different roles that your daughter has been placed in that all mix in on a moral dilemma. Whereas, as Jacqui's point was, you know, what a caretaker does on their off time, you don't even care, you don't even ask. what a tenant, who a tenant is with romantically, it's like, for the most part, like that's legally none of your business.
Right.
And so all of these variables have been mixed into the relationship. And I think it's going to be your work to say, what is a tenant, what is a daughter, and what is a caretaker? And those actually may be 3 different people. It may not be the same person. Okay.
Boy, that's thought.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to make some clarity around that, because I want to affirm the wisdom of Alice and Jacqui, because the relationship with your daughter is the priority. And the tenant and the caretaker could interfere with that in an unhealthy way. So I want you to work that out and figure that out. We're going to send you a copy of the book Boundaries, and that's hopefully going to help really prompt these questions and answers into what is best moving forward. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Dr. Heidi Summers on coaching.
A lot of people don't understand the difference between counseling and coaching. Coaches can help you with strategizing. Not everyone is in a crisis or recovering from a trauma. A lot of people just need help getting to where they want to be, and they don't know how to do that. And so it's helpful to have a third party come in to give objective feedback, set goals, create accountability, and help you walk out what your goals actually are.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches are intended to help you live in the present and goal set toward what it is you want for the future.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. As you heard, we would love to talk to you today. We're going to be in studio for a couple hours. It's myself, Dr. Alice Benton, Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris. That number, as you heard, is 1-800-229-3000. We're going to go straight to the phone, back to the phones. We're going to listen or talk to Colleen in Phoenix, Arizona, listening on Sirius XM. Colleen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, so glad you're with us today. Tell us what's going on.
Well, thank you for taking my call. My husband and I have been New Life Club members for a while now.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I've been in a spiritual battle for several years. Some good days and some very, very dark days. And I recently was put on a pain medication to help with sciatica, and
what can I ask? What pain medication you were put on?
It was gabapentin,
okay,
and then pregabalin. There were two, and anyway, after being on it for a while, I just felt increased anxiety and just overall sadness. So I stopped the medications. I let my doctors know. But the I guess you would call it withdrawal, has been overwhelmingly dark. Yeah.
How long has it been since you discontinued the medication?
About 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you checked in with your doctors about the withdrawal symptoms?
Yes, and honestly, they didn't say anything. They just said sometimes it doesn't work for some people, you know. And I wasn't on it for real long, maybe 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
But I've always been kind of sensitive to medications. But anyway, I really believe the enemy has used that to increase my fears and anxiety. And just cause havoc in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
And the more that I try to focus on God's word, it seems like the harder it is.
Colleen, on your darkest of days, what's the worst fear that you're plagued with?
Well, initially from the medication, I believe it was just a sense of hopelessness that I'd never felt before. And then it keeps kind of morphing into different things. But lately it's just been more fear of the fear itself, or fear of the feelings that I'm going through are just terrifying me.
Can you name a couple of the emotions that you feel? We got fear. Other than fear?
Yeah. Feeling really anxious. I can feel it in my body, you know, in my chest and my stomach. And I know that has been brought up before.
What else do you do in your day, Colleen? You mentioned trying to focus on the word. What's your day like? Do you work outside the home?
No, we are retired, and of course our children are grown and have lives of their own. I was a stay-at-home mom and homeschooled my kids, and so that was really my life, and I loved it. And
did you have this anxiety back then?
No, not when they were, growing up and, life was busy.
So, Colleen, this has just been a nightmare for these more than 2 weeks, but you had a lot of fulfilling things in your life previously. What can we do for you today about how bad you have felt recently?
Well, first of all, I don't want to continue like this because I know that this is not God's plan for me. And I'm tired of believing the enemy's lies that he puts in my head, and or causes my emotions to get in the way of my faith, if that makes sense.
So what's your question for us? Probably what to do about it now?
Yes. What can I do?
Okay.
Or who do I need to see? I need help.
Are you in counseling?
No.
Have you ever been to a therapist?
I've been to a Christian counselor. It's been a couple years now.
Was that helpful when you went?
It was.
Because it seems like it would be helpful for you to be meeting with a Christian therapist regularly, and also maybe a part of a life recovery group. And then we're going to be doing the emotional freedom workshop real soon, so maybe you could get connected with some information about that as well.
I also want you to consider entering into a life group, especially one with people dealing with chronic pain, and your doctor can probably help you connect you with that, because I think you're right. The enemy can misuse all of this, but the answer is usually get into relationship, keep talking about it, so that you take the power out of the fear. It gets more powerful if it just stays in your head. So you're taking the right step by calling us. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Colleen, we're going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. And
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't emphasize enough, just to echo what you've been told, get into therapy. Seek psychiatric help. not just a doctor, but a psychiatrist to really help you walk through what's happening medically. And I really believe that will help. Also, the Emotional Freedom Workshop that's coming up. But you want to attack this head on because you are and desire the right things. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, again in studio with Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris and Dr. Alice Benton. And I had mentioned we are coming up on the Emotional Freedom Workshop. That's online September 14th. There's one other really, really important online workshop coming up, and that is the Everyman's Battle. So here in August, we do online Everyman's Battle online a couple times a year. It's really... And there's low barriers of entry here, right? It's really easy to get on, to go through it. You get it in the comfort of your own home, but you're really, really addressing this key area of your life. And it is really powerful, really effective. So if you're a guy who is struggling with sexual integrity issues, and by the way, guys, the number one barrier to realizing that you struggle with sexual integrity issues is denial. It's denying that you do. So, but if this is an area of life that you struggle, please go today to www.newlife.com. Sign up today for the online Everyman's Battle, and we would love to see you there and help you discover great freedom and fulfillment in this area of your life.
Imagine being able to say, I have been sexually clean, sober, I've been abstaining. To be able to tell your wife that. Yeah. And I've heard some men say that recently who attended Everyman's Battle and practiced the principles. You can get there too, gentlemen.
Absolutely. We are going to go back to the phones. We're going to go to Diane in Columbus, Ohio, also listening to us on Sirius XM. Diane, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for calling in and being with us today. And how can we help you?
I need help with my adult son.
Okay.
He just turned 27 years old. He's hard worker, 2 jobs, but he's giving all his money away. He is dating a girl with 2 children, not his, 2 different men. He is giving her money. He's giving her mother money and the father money.
Wow.
And he's just like, this is my love language. This is how I show people I love them. And I keep telling him, you cannot do that. That is not... And I know I'm not supposed to tell him, but And that's what he tells me. I can do whatever I want to with my money, but it's not healthy. He's being taken advantage of, and he can't even see it. You know, he's on the autism scale. I should say that too. And he just has a big heart, but you can't give all your money away.
Yes.
It's not healthy, and I just don't know how to help him.
Yeah, so
I'm at my wit's end.
Yeah, he has a wisdom gap here that is costing him financially, but also personally, and and I hear that that's really scary for you.
It is, because I'm watching. I'm not financially contributing because I'm like, you're right, it's your money, your life, but I know this is harming you. You're not making good choices.
Yeah.
And I'm just so concerned.
Diane, with being on the autism spectrum, would you say he's on the high functioning, moderate, or low end of that spectrum?
High functioning. Like I said, he works 2 jobs, you know. We were and his girlfriend is so demanding. We were in a counseling session, me and my son, so I've been trying to get help, but she called him because her ex-boyfriend, who they have a child together, was in a car accident. And I'm like, that is not your responsibility to go and bail out your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
What are you doing? Like, it's just his thinking. And
then, Diane, is he giving away so much that it's putting him into financial problems?
Not yet, but it's coming. I mean,
yeah.
You can't keep giving everything away and then have something for yourself.
How does he survive? Is he able to take care of his own bills, or like does he have to pay rent somewhere? Does he live with you?
Nope, he owns his own home. He bought it when he was 22. Wow. I let him live rent-free. But he has 4 dogs, and so they're all living there in the house and a roommate, and it's just...
So the girlfriend... oh, okay. So there's a roommate...
Not the girlfriend, her kids.
Okay, so the girlfriend and the kids don't live with him, but he helps financially support them. He lives in his own home that he purchased on his own at 22.
That's correct.
How did he learn to manage money to be able to buy a home at 22?
So I helped him with that because of my job, but he's good with money. He's a great saver, but you can't give everything away.
So Diane, I hear the anxiety for you. Were you, did you have help raising him?
Yes, his father was in the home, and he left me at our 20-year anniversary.
That's so hard. Were you all gift givers as a love language?
Me?
Mm-hmm. You or your husband with your son? I'm just curious, like where he learned to love this way.
I'm not sure. I mean, I would try and give. You know, he's one of 3. I would try and give my kids gifts, but I wouldn't categorize myself as a gift giver. But
okay,
maybe
because he's financially seemingly good with money because he already owns his own home. But you guided him in that way, taught him to save, taught him to be responsible with money. Somewhere along the line, taught him to be kind and generous. Someone somewhere taught him that was helpful, and so now the concern that you have is that while he's been making good choices up to this point, that you're afraid that that's changing now and he's giving away too much, but he won't hear you. You've talked to him, and so the question, like, what can I do? My answer, having had a 27-year-old, is nothing. Pray and continue. I would continue to say that I have concerns. I would continue to give my input when it's warranted and welcome, but also I would just know that it's out of my hands. I can't control, and that the therapy part for you and him to be going to therapy and continuing that, if you could continue to get him to go, that would be great. And maybe there's another voice speaking to him. But in terms of you being able to get him to stop, you've already tried, and it sounds like you have a good relationship with him. And so he's just not hearing what you're saying because he doesn't believe it's a problem in the way that you do. He believes that what he's doing is the right thing. It's the good thing to do. It's really hard to get somebody to stop doing something that they think is good.
Yeah. And I have been praying, and it's not just me, his friends are telling him, you have to stop. And this isn't the first time. This has been going on far too long.
Yeah, so
maybe.
Yeah, so Diane, let me jump in here real quickly. You know what the most powerful drug on planet Earth is?
What's that?
Love. Yeah.
It's undefeated.
He's a drug addict, and he's pouring all of his money into the addiction, and that's what you're picking up. Right, and it's terrifying for you because you know it's a black hole.
Yeah, because you can't keep doing that.
Of course, but
actually you can.
But you can.
You can, and he is.
Yeah.
Like we say you can't keep doing that, as though there is going to be a wall somewhere that he's going to hit and it won't be possible anymore. But he's resourceful, so maybe change it and say, I hate to see you keep doing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to add some other additional wording you might use with him. I want you to point out how much you respect the major successes in this young man's life, because your son is doing a lot right and well. And so continuing to point that out, especially when you have to bring a concern to him, pairing it with a legitimate, genuine praise always tends to help the concern be metabolized. And then I'd have you ask him, I'm concerned, and I think I've been handling this wrong. I keep telling you what you're supposed to be doing. But I actually wonder, would you be open to discussing how to give generously in a way that safeguards your funds so that you can continue to give and take care of yourself? Would you be open to that with me or with someone else? And if it's with someone else, your counselor, your father, our pastor, I want you to bring in another responsible person who has some influence and sway if he's open to discussing it. I also want you to ask him, son, when would you know that you're giving too much and you're endangering yourself? Would it be when you can't pay your bills? Would it be when your bank account is emptying out? Have him identify those warning signs and strategize with him. If you're moving towards that point, what would you let the two of us do about it together? Because you want to keep giving for the rest of your life. So how do you not overgive? Can we discuss this? Try to get buy-in from him by being curious in that way.
And then the last thing I would say, make sure he understands that he's not helping them learn how to be as resourceful as he is. So teaching them to fish instead of feeding them that one meal.
Good. Well, Diane, you hear the music. We're going to give you a copy of Take Your Life Back. And part of that you're going to learn is that you can't save people from the consequences of their decisions. And so he's going to pay consequences, and you've got to love him without rescuing him through that. So you're on the right track. But like I said, you got to recognize we can have critical conversations and then leave the rest to him. Dan, thank you for calling. We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022, That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. And I just want to mention, I talked about this before, but working my way almost through Henry Cloud's new book. And it's just remarkable. It is such a great, great resource. It's called Why I Believe. And it's really Henry's journey through really letting people and his friends know the reason for his faith. And there's a lot more than just what we typically think of our biblical answers, but it goes into his life, it goes into his career, and obviously the incredible amount of wisdom. If you give any amount here in the month of July, $25 or more, any amount over $25, then we're going to send you a copy of this book. And so it will just really, really reinvigorate your faith. It will also, I really believe, help you live it out and tell it out more freely and readily. And so partner with us. We're going to partner with you. And again, donate. It goes to and lets us do all of the things that we do and continue our ministry and helping people find healing and hope in life's hardest places. If you're waiting on the line here, if you're on the phone right now, we don't get to you this hour, please hold on. We're going to try to get to you in the next hour. Also, if you want to talk to us, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. And with that, we're going to go to Jeremy in Bloomington, Indiana, listening on the internet. Jeremy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. So, the home of the Hoosiers. What's going on in Hoosier land?
Not much at all.
Yeah, so talk to us.
I would like to know why I am going through so much physically, and I have been for the past year when I had a brain injury last July in a fall. And I'm wondering why it seems like God is not healing that.
Yeah. And so what happened in the fall?
I just basically had a brain injury, had brain bleeding, and am lucky to even be here. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then, but this has created an incredible amount of pain and suffering in your life. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And where in the world is God in this?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Jeremy, how has it changed your relationship with God? Have you drawn away from your faith community, from your old spiritual practices?
Actually, I feel like it has really strengthened me in my relationship with God. I really do.
Yeah.
How so? How do you see that?
Just spending more time in devotions and everything, and just spending more time in prayer. I love it that way. I really do.
That's amazing.
Would you? Were you spending the same kind of time with him before your injury?
No, I was not. No.
So you asked the question, why this pain? Why hasn't God healed me? In your time with him, are you asking for healing?
Yes, I am.
And do you, the pain that you're having, it's from the head injury. So I'm guessing it's like
actually all over my body, actually.
From the fall?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
They told me that I may not ever be 100% again. They told me the doctor did, so I don't know.
So I think it's great that you've recovered as well as you have recovered from your traumatic brain injury. And sometimes we have chronic pain because we're carrying a lot of emotion in our body. And going deeper into prayer and deeper into reading scripture, you're connecting with God on a deeper level, but you're also connecting emotionally. And so maybe a shift in how you are caring for yourself, maybe some different resources. Are you in counseling for the chronic pain?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, sure I am.
And it might also be helpful for you to
counselor, actually.
Say that again?
I meet with a Christian counselor.
That's great. Yeah.
And it would be good maybe for you to be with a group, a life recovery group, or if you can find a group that your doctor could maybe connect you with, as Dr. Alice said earlier in the show, with a group that is focused on chronic pain. That way you're connected with other people who are going through a similar situation. Sometimes our emotion is physical.
I'm actually in a recovery group at my church. And I absolutely love that group. I really do.
So you're doing all the things. So now I wonder how much of this now is this is the remnants of the injury. And so it may be about learning to live your life in a different way so that you can reduce some of the chronic pain rather than praying and asking God to remove it. You know, sometimes rather than ask God to move something, we can ask him to give us the strength to deal with whatever it is. And it seems as though he's been continually giving you strength to deal with, making you stronger and stronger and closer to him. And so in some ways, this chronic pain, the deeper, the more extreme the pain is, it sounds like the deeper your relationship with God is.
Well, Jeremy, I hate this truth, but I know it's true. I don't know why God uses suffering to draw us closer to him and to transform our lives, but he does.
Yeah. He does, definitely.
Right? And I'm actually strangely strengthened and encouraged by your call.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Because it's such a reminder, I think, for me and for all of us, that this isn't heaven. We pray on earth as in heaven, but this ain't it, right? And that really points us to Hebrews chapter 11. We see all of these like great hall of fame of faith in Hebrews chapter 11. But if you read about being sawed in two or stoned to death or persecuted or ridiculed, they aren't living their best life now. It's not their best life now because they know that the best life isn't now. It's to come. And I only mention that is similar to Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, where he is talking about having a thorn in his flesh. He's talking about a great, great torturous ailment, praying, God, please make it go away. And God says, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is perfected in your weakness.
Yes.
Okay.
I love that.
So, Jeremy, you are sitting on a great purpose and ministry right now in your pain.
I am.
Yeah. And that's God's will.
Yeah, it is.
Now, what I want to caution against is that there is a very, very common belief, and I would say it's not necessarily a horrific or evil belief. I just think it's misguided. And that is, if God is present and working in our life, then we will not have pain or we will be healed. Even Paul's experience shows us that that's false. If you read 1 Peter, Peter shows us that belief is false. That belief gets in the way of our faith. It doesn't advance it. Yeah.
And God did heal you.
I am actually a first-time listener.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for listening.
Jeremy.
On the internet, actually.
Yeah, I love it.
That's so great. God did heal you, Jeremy. You said that the doctors are surprised you even survived.
Yeah.
So he did heal you, but there's this remnant of pain left in your body as a reminder of what you've experienced and a testimony to how good God is, that you survived that. And yes, you survived with some chronic pain, but you're enduring through that chronic pain. You're continuing to study, continuing to be in ministry with other people, and then calling in here today.
So, Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for calling in. We greatly, greatly appreciate you sharing your struggle with us. And in that, we're gonna send you a copy of Healing as a Choice. But also, it's such a reminder for all of us. This isn't heaven, but we continue to seek God's grace and His provision, even in the midst of our suffering, because Jeremy's going to be living out an incredible ministry. So give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Thank you for being with us.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.